Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the player ranked #1 in the world by Dark. In the blue, the final boss. It's Dark. Up against the wild card Protoss in the red, we have Creator. A best of 5 Protoss versus Zerg showdown with two of the most unorthodox players from Korea. So I'll start with a more orthodox opener myself by begging you for likes and maybe even subscribes to help counter the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? It's not. How are you not ready? 1,535 likes on this video, on this cast. And we can stave off Dark's retirement a little. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get a little bit better than this Overlord, who was just loitering nearby when suddenly a Stalker comes out. And apparently they don't have restraining orders in the Zelnaga hand-me-downs. So, Overlord gets driven over to the Pervert Plateau, where it will hang out in the steam room. But I'm gonna assume the Overlord enjoys it. And now we'll move on from that thought process to pointing out the Oracle and 2 more gases at 3:30. Is this an Archon rush? It could be Dark Templar, but 2 more gases before the a Twilight Council's on the way, so not really ruling anything out, but a 3rd base. Dark has a Roach Warren already building. Usually your 3rd base comes up around, you at least attempt a 3rd base between 4 minutes, 4:15 or so. Oracle comes in, gets a couple drone kills, but the Queens are in position to politely yet firmly drive it away. That Roach Warren, Dark thinking about some aggression of his own. In fact, that Roach Warren is so early that it's not even early defensive. That's so early he wants to do some sort of all-in. But awkwardly, Creator will not have a quick 3rd. He's not going for the blink and the +1 behind that we see so commonly in this matchup. He only built 1 Oracle. He built 2 more gases ridiculously early. And he's going to sink that Vespene gas into some Archons. And ideally, with overwhelming power, crush his way through, or at least keep control of the situation. As the only anti-air is Queens and Spore Crawlers, technically. So no real answer to the Prism itself. And the Archons, of course, do terrible, terrible damage to pretty much all Zerg. Not just units, buildings as well, with a bonus to biological. And the buildings are counted in that. So Dark, he's building 6 Roaches, 14 Zerglings. He's only had 40 drones back at home. So clearly intent on getting some damage done. And, well, the Queen... Shh, I'm trying to sneak up on them. Oh yeah, like you're gonna sneak up on them like that, Brenda. Hey! Sorry. Warp Prism, Archon's on the way. Doesn't actually notice him off to the side. Dark now going to realize, but the Archon's just melting through the Zerglings, as is the Oracle on the Roaches. The Queens will throw some knitting needles out, and a bit of an awkward mid-map battle here. The Oracle leading into the Queen's going to take some more hull damage. And Dark, the moment he saw the Archon, started a bunch of drones. I think realizing this is not something he can break right now. But Creator has to at least play it a little more conservatively. Because if Dark did commit, there's a chance he breaks through. There's only 1 Oracle. There's only the Warp Prism. If the Queens or even some Corrosive Bile or something get a hold of that, Creator might just lose the game. Now, it's unlikely, but this has allowed Dark to leapfrog the worker count that Creator had and now go past 60, though his lair is quite late in the grand scheme of things. Usually you want that thing done by the 6-minute mark. He'll be lucky to get it done by 7. And considering how quickly games can go, that's a big gap from where he's looking. Well, a stasis will catch all the Lings, thus saving them from any units on the other side, though giving them plenty of time to contemplate their impending demise. Overlord will be popped. 6 Overlords on the way for Dark as he gets hard supply blocked. Okay, is he gonna do it? Okay, the force fields will corral. Well, it appears rumors of the Zerglings' demise were greatly exaggerated. How many did he... For 3 force fields and a whole lot of shame, he got 4 Zerglings.
Shame. Shame.
Mm-hmm.
Shame.
No, it was not worth it in any sense, especially considering both players know how much of a waste that was. But the 4th base is on the way for Dark. He has no alternative. Zergling counterattack going to be attempted at the 3rd. The Oracle is still back at home to defend, though. There's not much in the mineral line to block this off. Creator, with Immortals, Charge Lots, and Archons. The CIA build. A classic build, an old one, but it still checks out. One of the most powerful unit compositions against basic Zerg. And right now, they might have a lot of acid, but indeed, this is about as basic as it gets. We got Roaches, Ravagers, a few Hydras popping out now. Roach speed isn't even done yet. Phoenix is on the way. Creator may have misread this somewhat dramatically. There are no mutas. The threat of mutas, yes. So, one of the big risks when you go for a single Oracle and no blink, you have no anti-air. If Dark had like 7 mutas, he could just win the game. There's a pretty wide array of things that could just win the game, but a hallucinated Phoenix will not spot anything of note. I'm not sure he's actually seen any Hydras. There's only a couple mixed into the army, and he wasn't really looking at it there. There are 14 more Hydras on the way, but instead of Phoenixes, Creator very much so would want to be investing in Psionic Storm. So, the Phoenixes are a dramatic swerve into a tech that he absolutely does not need right now. We'll see if it ends up helping him enough, but against this mass of Zerg, that biomass is just way too much. He can't even get close to engaging this. The Nexus will be canceled without so much as a fight. There is a stasis that will catch. Well, I'm not sure that stasis helps more. It's acting as something of a force field. He's going to lift up some of the Ravagers, trying to make those Phoenixes worth it here. And there's enough Archons and Immortals. He split off enough Roach Hydra with the stasis that he's able to partition the units into more bite-sized groups, at least metaphorically, because, of course, the Protoss do not have mouths. Immortals and Archons. Another stasis will effectively save the Roach Hydra, but he's overstayed his welcome, and he wasn't welcome at all. The Immortals going toe-to-toe with the Ravagers, each of them having a surprising amount of toes. The Warp Prism is knocked down by the Corrosive Bile. The secondary group of Roach Hydra and Purgatory will get... No, not a... Oh, come on. It's a bit cliche at this point. He's still building Phoenixes. I think Creator just locked into it. It's what he has right now, but he has 800 gas in the bank and he's not getting Storm. This is going from ignorance to negligence at this point against this biomass of Roach Hydra. Very simply, you need Storm, or maybe Disruptors, or maybe Colossi. But the answer's right there, and he's not reaching for it. I'm sure Dark is expecting Storm to be completed, especially with energy recharge and the ability to just slap 100 energy into a Templar. Boom, 2 Storms right there. This baby can fit so many Storms in it. If you count 2 as so many, but that's still a lot when it comes to having a Roach Hydra composition. But Creator still has a lot of boots on the ground, or whatever the equivalent is. The Roach Hydra's moving in, but if he doesn't see any Templar, I'm sure Dark will still look for an opportunity. He got the 4th base down the center. It has a rich Vespene geyser once you mine out the nearby mineral patch, which is a reduced one. Dark working on it right now. 72 to 64 workers, but we're still brawling it out with the mid-game army compositions. The Phoenixes getting taken out of the sky, slowly but surely. Still an interesting choice. Creator was pretty convinced, I think, of the mutas. And it's not a rare choice for Dark to go mutas against someone who opens Robo so early. But every moment without Storm is a moment that Dark can really make a lot more out of this army than he probably should. Infestation Pit is on the way. Another 4th base will be canceled. And the Immortals force fields attempted. The Roach Hydra +2 ranged attack is done. He's just going to fight over the force fields. He's happy to leave them as they kind of help his army more, but Creator with just this thick, hefty, brute force ball of Protoss here. Trying to pick up some. Oh, he goes the wrong way with the Roach Hydra, and the Archons, as well as the Immortals, will help cut it off. This fight kind of disjointed. There's 60 Zerglings on the way. What is even happening right now? Hydra's on the left, Hydra's on the right, Immortals and Archons down the center. Blink is done, some Queens getting involved. Unclear exactly who's flanking who. Zerglings on top of everything are going to help out a lot. Mitigating the Immortals. Warp Prism taken down, Forgotten on the other side of the map. The Queen's taking the brunt of it. One of them back in the sphere, flying right now. Not my thing, put me down. Immortals and Archons are just bashing through the Zerg reinforcements. Hydra's on the run, but they have no legs, so it was a futile endeavor. The charge lots, demonstrating their very strong legs, will chase them down. 22 Hydras in production, but Creator just trundling across the map with this brute force composition. He's gonna take out Dark's 4th base, but he has an alternative over to the right flank. The splash damage still remarkably lacking. The Zerglings cutting off some of the reinforcing Stalkers. Warp Prism just ignoring the flight of those Stalkers. Now Ghetto blinking into the Prism has the shield battery. Some of the Stalkers are left behind on the other side. Hive Tech starts, and the chaos will end for a moment. The lack of Storm making it a lot easier for Dark to get damage done. But the lack of Storm encouraging Creator to invest more in this just straight up army composition. And I think Dark is underestimating it. But he's tailored it now. Hydras and Lings almost exclusively. There's only one Archon. The splash damage is almost non-existent. The Stalkers blunk forward. The Spore Crawler doing some real damage to the Prism. Wants to get it into a good spot to warp in. The Hydras with a trickle of Zerglings warping in some reinforcements at the back, but the Hydra's just kiting back. It's such a rare scenario. Stutter stepping. Stutter slithering. No, okay, we'll just go with stutter stepping. It's a metaphor. The Hydralisk. So, Creator has finally found Psionic Storm. As the Templar warped in 6 at a time. Still no 4th base. He's long distance mining with some of his probes. Meanwhile, Dark, with 69 drones, still has a pretty nice economy. Though the main bases for both sides are drying up. Lurker Den is now on the way. I think there was so much going on that he didn't realize he hadn't started it with the Hive. They both take the same amount of time. Meanwhile, some charge lots in the main. But that'll just drag back the army supply that was already nearby. Meanwhile, the Roach Hydra fighting in the center of the map. The Blink Stalkers, no match for the magnitude of Hydralisk here. But the Warp Prism recalls back. And now, well, he is more than compensating for the lack of Storm. A whole front of Storm is coming in. And Creator's at 117 to Dark's 126 army supply. There are going to be at least 4 Storms. I think he's got a couple. Yes, he's dropping them out of the Prism. But wants to be careful with that Prism in general. Dark to try to get the best concave he can. Storm softening up so many of the Hydras. Though the Archon's in a bit of a peculiar position. Microing back. Hydra Lunge not quite done yet. With the Storm to zone out. Such an incredibly dangerous force field. Oh, but a beautiful concave from Dark. Even the drones on the line. Or off the line, rather. More Storms. Orange-colored Hydras. Even some more. There's a couple more in the bank. The Hydras are in the red, but they're not all dead. Only one Archon left, and he's out of Storms again! Oh no, Dark can close in now. If he's able to get rid of that Archon, 14 drones dead. He still has 2 more bases. Creator has managed to get a 4th base. And he's actually going to mine from it for the first time this game. But he's sticking around. Hydra Lunge is now done. And this might be one of the few scenarios where it's really going to make a difference. Those Templar do not have enough energy for Storm. He lunges. He gets a Templar. I think he was aiming for the Prism. He missed the mark, but I think landing on a Templar is not the worst idea. Everybody calm down. Dark is now mining from the rich Vespine down the center. It doesn't have more gas, but it mines almost twice as quickly, so that's going to be a massive part of Dark maintaining this Lurker economy. He's now adding the Lurkers in. He actually doesn't have Lurker range. He went for Adaptive Talons first. The maneuverability upgrade for Quick Burrow. Hydra's lunge forward, Stalkers blink away. It's the same cooldown for both. Fun fact. Well, I guess for both, depending on who you are. Some Zerglings. Okay, so because both players were so mined out of their main and natural, neither of them feels comfortable getting aggressive again. Because the economies are so low, they can't max out. The times of plenty have ended. As the chaos continues. Wow. Dark has lost 6,000 more minerals, but a bit over 1,000 less gas. Meanwhile, a fleet beacon is on the way. A mothership and some Tempests. Always an existential threat to the Zerg. But kind of an awkward situation to be transitioning, as the economies are just so thin. But Dark, 116 to 86 army supply. This base pretty much undefended. The Warp Prism popped immediately. Lurkers fully upgraded now with +3 attack, range, and adaptive tail. It's in 22 probes gutted. He just goes up the center, cuts off a couple Lurkers. There's a mothership on the way. Oh no. The Templar will be surrounded and taken out by Zerglings. Both of them had 2 storms ready. Another base will be taken down. Creator losing probes left, right, and center at all 3 outlying bases. Lurkers will retreat. There's a charge lot off to the right. Dark managed to take the bottom right base. The Lurkers are scrambling in to defend. The Hydras are going to take out the 3rd base, the 4th base, and the Roaches on the 5th. Meanwhile, Creator's closing in down the center. Yet again, the 3 o'clock base is going to be taken out. The mothership is being built in the main, and there's a High Templar as well. The mothership being chrono boosted. If he can complete it, he might have the ability to break through, as there's no detection to deal with it. Active cloaking could be exactly what he needs. Creator is down to 18 probes and dipping, and a lot of those probes are stranded as well. 58 workers dead, 3 bases down for Dark, but Creator's going to be down to just 1. So we're in a full-on base trade. He mothership recalls it in. Okay, well, Creator is not mining. 0 income. Dark infinitely more at about 140-150. Creator gets to the top. Wait, did he just recall the mothership to the top left? He just used that recall. There's a changeling here. The Hydras. It's Hydras and Lurkers, but he does still have Templar, and technically he still has all his tech. So, Creator barely has more probes than he started with. Neither player. 2 minerals versus 50. +2 melee attack will now complete. Honestly, it might have been worth canceling, considering he has 0 Zerglings. The Stalkers. Still looking for something. What a mess we've gotten into here. A single Viper on the way. He can't yoink the mothership. But a blinding... Honestly, at this stage, a single spellcaster could turn the tide. These two unwilling to abide by your more conventional strategy. We still find Roach Hydra versus Blink Stalker 20 minutes in. 35 to 18 workers. I think Dark has the position, especially after slicing up those Stalkers. None of them dying. The Observer not so lucky. There's still 6 Immortals. He has +3 Protoss ground weapons. Creator's only mining from the top left corner. Dark is only mining from the center, though. He is taking the base back at the 3 o'clock position. A Tempest, a single Tempest on the way. There are 2 Vipers. This is, I would say this is almost certainly Dark's game to lose now. Despite the progress Creator made, he never really put all of the pieces together. Yeah, those Templar have near full energy. Adrenal glands. He doesn't even have any Zerglings. He's building 8 lings. But adrenal glands, that worth it. I don't think all Korean Zergs would agree. Some real shin right there. An Oracle might be a worthy investment at this stage. The Lurkers on the high ground. That Observer so... honestly, it's probably worth abducting an observer at this stage. The lurkers stumbling over each other. Hey, you can just pick off the drones, but where are those Vipers? Yeah, here they come. Get over here. That is unfortunate, but some storms. He may have killed his own Tempest. Nope, Dark gets credit. Meanwhile, the Hydras. There is a recall. He activates it. And... yeah, those Hydras actually could be intercepted. He lunges away. But who's flanking who? He moves back, blunking forward. The Hydra's cutting their way out, lunging away yet again. Gotta be careful about blinking too far forward. He's gonna kill some more Hydras. Dark, from Dark's position, he doesn't know how poor Creator's economy is. All right, he's kind of getting a beat on it, but he can't be entirely sure of how many probes he wiped out. He doesn't have the little counter on the side. Dark himself has only had 43 workers and 2 bases, so if Creator had the similar economy, it's worth Dark taking these risks. But we know that all Dark really has to do is beat this army one time with some counterattacks, and so he's starting to realize that himself. He rips apart the cannon, the Adrenalings going to work, Vipers, storms. The Vipers still have energy, and yanking out bits and pieces of this army. The Zerglings, and the main base as well. There's no recall. He's beating the Zealots outright. Is it enough? Not quite. Not quite on that last Zealot. Creator, he doesn't want to come back to his main base to stop 10 Lings, but Dark is re-expanding to the bottom right corner. The Stalkers are losing this fight. Couple more Stalkers dealing with it. He's clearing up the creep. The Lurkers trying to reposition. He actually lost the Hydra Den. Has to rebuild it. Vipers yanking out the Immortals. Get over here. Eviscerates them. And a Templar as well. A bold move indeed. JJ! Dark pulls out the key parts of the army. Creator unable to put all the pieces together. And in an absolutely chaotic game, Dark will take game number 1. What are you doing? He is too. Dark refusing to play normal. He goes for the Roach Hydra outright. But Creator over here is like, I'm going Phoenix. He was so convinced that Dark was going to try to bamboozle him with mutas. I think that was Creator trying to get 2 steps ahead. But he just ended up a couple steps behind instead. He was going the wrong direction with the tech. Building Phoenixes into Hydras. Not so great. But if Dark had gone mutas, and Creator makes that call blindly, which, you know, is a very Creator thing to do, he might just win the game. Because it's so easy to walk across. If you've taken out the mutas, they have nothing. That's why mutas are so rare. They're usually a significant gamble unless you already have a lead or know for a fact they won't have a counter. So Creator preempting with the Phoenixes. But sometimes when you gamble, and this is true, write this down, you lose. Unlike when you smash that like button and subscribe. You're guaranteed to win. Good games for the fans. Some restrictions apply. Probe, headed across. Not even attempting to block. Dark makes sure to get his natchery down. And we're on Arrowhome. This from the Korean StarCraft 2 League. Make sure to check them out in the description as well. Another community tournament. Pretty rare for Korea to have StarCraft 2 leagues at all nowadays, unfortunately. So if you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check it out. And also supporting some maps from the Team Liquid map contest that didn't quite make it into the ladder pool. Personally, I think the fact that we have some maps from 5 years ago that just randomly, with no explanation, showed up in the tournament/ladder map pool, as opposed to some of the dozens of community-created maps from recent map contests. I think that's disheartening, but I'm glad that the community tournaments are making an effort to show them off. And sometimes that makes for the most interesting games, because it is kind of likely that these players have not played the map nearly as much. which sometimes that's terrible. Sometimes both players will just do some dumb cheese and it just doesn't work out. But you're watching this video right now, which means it's unlikely that there are any games quite along those lines. So, probe heading home. Overall, a relatively standard map besides the Valley of Death. In the center of the map, there are 2 sets of rocks and vision blockers that can create a devastating choke point for the unaware. So, a Twilight Council first from Creator. But the Zergling gets in. He didn't quite see the Twilight. There's a Robo on the way as well. Is he going to do the same build but just skip the whole Stargate entirely? Unclear. Adept Glaives. Ah. Hello, darkness, my old... Adept Glaives. One of the oldest builds in Legacy of the Void. But still deadly when unprepared for. Sometimes deadly when prepared for. The hardest part of dealing with this build for Zerg is finding the right amount of an answer. Yes, roaches counter it. But because of the nature of Adepts, you don't necessarily have to commit to a full-out attack. So if Dark under or over builds roaches, he can either find himself in a losing most of his economy to the Adepts, or just not having it in the first place. Now, make no mistake, there's a reason why usually you open at least with the Stargate. And that's because without the Stargate, you don't have a fallback. You don't have a unit or units that can actually play defense that won't die to roaches. And that is why almost always you see the Stargate first, both to mask the aggression and so you don't just die to a bunch of roaches. But here, Creator doesn't need a safety net. He's just got Glaved Adepts, and here we go. The first of the shady bunches is heading in. How many gateways in total? 4 gate. Lowest possible economy, highest possible aggression. Sees the roaches popping out. He's actually just going for the... Would you get off our creep? How many? I thought this build... We stopped doing this years ago. Oh, Brenda, they never go away. They just no longer interact with polite company. Susan, you think you're polite company? You go in front. I don't... Sorry. I know. I'm blacked out for... Dark only at 40 drones, still spamming roaches and lings. Quickly getting to the point of no return, where he's going to be forced into a roach ling all-in. Meanwhile, Creator taking his 3rd base, slamming out some Immortals. And now we're at that impasse, where Creator didn't kill a single drone with the Adepts. He only killed a handful of lings, but Dark is in this awkward situation where he has to get something done. He's making more and more Zerglings. Roaches, Ravagers, and Zerglings are very much a good answer to the Mass Adept. But there will be some sentries. There's a shield battery. He's building Immortals. And there's still plenty of Adepts. So, does he have the numbers? The Warp Prism is headed back across. If he's able to snipe that off, he removes one of the most important parts of the defense. The ability to maneuver your units out of a tough position. Meanwhile, just breaking down and into the base, the Zerglings are surrounding. So I'm not sure that's actually a good idea here. The Immortal shield battery recharged. Force field's looking good so far. Overall, Creator handling this incredibly well. 3 probes dead. Completely acceptable losses if he's able to mitigate more of the damage. And so far, it looks like the Roaches and the Ravagers are not going to be breaking through. 7 probes. Starting to add up a bit, but Dark is forced to head home. He's building drones behind. He finished a lair, but now he's taking his macro turn. He was building just roaches and lings, but now we got drones, an Evo chamber, a Baneling nest, and where's that roach speed, Dark? Dark. Or maybe now would be the time for the Mutas. He has a whole lot of gas in the bank, but he's just focused on getting as many drones as possible. He still has the Zerglings on the other side, just as the Adepts move out. The Zerglings move in. The shield batteries. An entire battery pack over here, though a single pylon powering all of them. What? He shot his own Adept. In order to build more probes? Maybe? Maybe to make sure his weapons worked? You know, porque no los dos. Hallucinated Phoenix on the way. Again, we're in this very tense kind of Cold War situation where neither player can reliably tech up without exposing themselves to an all-in or just straight-up timing. The force field's pretty good to start. The Adepts with glaives. Whoa, some of them stuck at the wrong side of the force fields. The sentries falling back. The Adept's about to abandon the Immortal to its fate. It will get chased. Oh, but wait, the shield batteries! And it's not falling! It's still, and the Immortal lives! And with it, hope. It still lives. Only 5 kills, but the amount of attacks and the amount of damage that was wasted. I feel, in the last 40 seconds, Dark has dealt 3,000 damage. I choose to believe 3,000 of it. Almost 3,000 done to that Immortal. 43 corrosive miles in 40 seconds. I guess when you have this many Ravagers. The Immortal? It's holding. Colossi on the way, but there's a whole bunch of Banelings rolling in. Dark, mediocre economy, but he's trying to bust through yet again. Immortal is saved. The Banelings rolling into the defenses, taking advantage of how relatively stacked up they are. Going for the Banelings. The Immortal at the back, it still lives. Dragged back yet again, but the Ravagers and Banelings are starting to break through. Only a couple batteries left and they're out of energy, but the Colossus! The Colossus comes out just in time. The Immortal is still holding. The barrier holds, and the Zerg are driven back yet again. Dark, forced to retreat. And the 2 Immortals in the red, but with shields up to fight the Ravagers, triggering those barriers, fires off a blast of corrosive bile. But again, Dark will be driven away. He maintains a worker lead. He has more bases. His income is now going to be significantly higher, but Creator is building Colossi, which in this scenario uniquely suited to thinning out those smaller units so he can focus on the larger ones. The Immortal and the Prism now clearing the creep. Maybe a little beneath their pay grade, but right now, beggars can't be choosers. Does he have extended thermal lance? No. The Colossi... Oh. Potentially significant mistake. Not getting the extra range on the Colossi certainly could make it more difficult to keep him alive. Dark up to 71 drones. Adding +2 melee attack. Creator holding the center. And again, they're both so focused on these mid-game armies. There's Thermal Lance on the way. The Stalker's trying to go through the Valley of Death. Well, actually, the Zerg army is. The War Prism with the 2 Immortals still holding. Its vision knocks out an Overlord. 27 Banelings on the way for Dark. Gonna try to roll his way through. And here we go. Banelings from the north. Roaches and Ravagers shut down to the south. The War Prism in the crossfire. The Immortals are holding. Great force fields from Creator. He's holding. But the Ravagers and Banelings are rotating around. +2 ground weapons about to complete. Extended thermal lance still quite far off. That's going to be such an important upgrade against this exact army composition. A lot of the Roaches headed the wrong direction, though. And he gets a few freebies. And pathfinding a little bit off. And the Roaches are easily pummeled into oblivion. Though Dark replaces them quickly with even more Zerglings and Banelings. There are 4 Colossi, and they're about to have their range done. The rocks will be taken down. Colossi standing tall. There's so many. There's 100 Zerglings on the field. dozens of banelings, but the Colossi immolating any Zerglings that get close. And with this many, the banelings are going to be relatively easy targets as well. Dark just simply goes around. The Zerglings, banelings about to crash through, doesn't have a sentry for force field. The probe's about to be trapped. He's going to lose half a dozen at least. Meanwhile, some charge lots fighting the Queen. A fourth base going to be attempted. The Warp Prism left behind. 6 probes dead. Not critical damage. Another counterattack. Sentries and Colossus. A Wings of Liberty composition here. The Zerglings, the Ravagers, the Lings, and the Banes. Has he not spotted? He has not spotted the fourth base. He's not looking for it. The Stalkers are just out on their own. Dark splitting off the majority of his valuable units. And he's just rolling into the third again. Creator. Creator. Oh no. He's gonna lose all those probes. He's just for base trade. What are you doing? Creator does not do his due diligence on force field. Oh, locking the door after the Zerglings have already ripped it down and mauled all your friends to pieces. The Zerglings are in the natural. They're in the main. They're in the fourth. Dark is everywhere, but back at home. He's forced to recall. Where did he recall? To the natural on top of the army. And that might be enough to stop it for now. He leaves enough units to be effective on the other side of the map. And yet again, we're going into a chaotic base trade. But the deck is again stacked against Creator. The drones are pulled off the line. He's lost. He has 0 probes. That is not very many. 0 probes, 55 minerals. He can build 1 more. He does require a Nexus 2 Colossi in the main with a couple sentries. The weirdest buddy cop double date combo. And the Zerglings will just fight them. They'll kill. Will they kill a Colossus? Oh my. Oh, he manages to be a bit of a gatekeeper there. 3 hatcheries on the way. 0 probes. The Warp Prism trying to save the Colossus, and he does. But there's 2. Shield battery recharged. Comes back. He's trying to save the last Nexus. He's juggling between 2 Colossi. Be careful. No friendly fire. Couple Stalkers to the top left corner. Dark still has 50 more drones. So he has 50. What did you do? Why do you have 5 minutes? Did he build another probe and lose it? Or does he have... No, he doesn't have it in the prism. We would see it in the little counter. Oh, Creator. What have you done? Oh, well... Is there a dream? His Creator has more army supply. He has only army supply. Juggling all these individual units back. 12 Ravagers on the way. The Blink Stalkers trying to box out any counterattacks. But Dark is actually... His army is... It's really not that much to contend with. If he can kill everything, then there's nothing left to stop him. So profound. Wait, is the Immortal? I choose to believe that's the same Immortal, even though I think it has more HP than the other one did. Colossi, 42 kills. Over 100 kills between the Colossi. That won't be the end of it. Juggling back. Singeing the Ravagers at the edges of things. More corrosive bombs landing across the Stalkers. And, oh, he's eating the corrosive vials with the Colossi. Still juggling back. More Stalkers. A few Zerglings trickling through. And Creator, it's just too much. This circus nightmare can juggle no further. The Immortals will not live up to their name. A Colossus, a Warp Prism, and 2 languages of GG. As Creator yet again takes it to a base trade. And yet again, Dark survives it. Somehow, despite starting the base trade in a worse position, Creator still getting closer. Creator. He's just built different. He just works different. Not in a bad or a good, just a different way. And arguably more entertaining, but wow. What if he had 1 probe? Well, the thing is, Dark didn't know he had 0 probes and 0 money. There's no way for Dark to know that. Until he kills all the bases and it says, has not rebuilt your base and is being revealed. But until that point, Dark doesn't know. Creator does. So that is why Dark was playing so careful, is because Creator might have had enough money. He might have had 10 probes somewhere and enough money to rebuild a Nexus. So you don't commit everything to a base trade because you have imperfect information. And honestly, I think Creator used that well, but just faltered at the end. Well, there were a lot of things that could have gone in a different direction there. Okay, he kind of Christopher Columbus'd it, where he almost made something out of his success despite going entirely the wrong direction. But let's be careful not to give him too much credit. It was more like he had no idea where the Zerg army was coming from. And, well, that northwestern passage through the map was enough for Dark to initiate the base trade and drag him down with him. If Creator was able to hold on to... These are that's way too close. I'm reminded of Dark's games against Hero, but there's a different vibe to it. I don't know... I can't describe it. I'll probably try. We have a bit of filler commentary time here, but... Dark versus Hero is kind of like... It's like watching those slap fight competitions. Where it's just like... Except sometimes... They're open or closed fist. Whereas Dark versus Creator seems like... a bit of fencing... combined with... doing a whole lot of soju shots. You don't really have to do shots, so you just drink soju. Right? Just drink soju while base trading. That would explain a lot here. Quite easy to do. It's very dangerous. But that does actually seem to be kind of Dark's Achilles heel as well. Someone who's willing to dive into the mud with him. So far, Dark, the one coming up first, but that could all change very quickly. By the way, we're on Starchild, another one of our Team Liquid map contest maps. Honestly, many of the maps we've chosen and for the contest are all following the relatively generic trend of StarCraft 2 maps. You could probably recognize them without even realizing it. We loaded into the game, and some of you were probably like, wow, I'm very observant, I'm amazing. I liked and subscribed at the start. I noticed this was a different map that I maybe hadn't seen before, only seen occasionally. But if you weren't watching too closely, it isn't unlikely that... Well, even I loaded in. I didn't realize we're on a new map until I looked more than half a second. I was still contemplating the madness we were just put through. And... Deb gets away. Looks like there's another... Canyon of Pain. The 2 rock towers there. Third base. Looks... Oh, there's a set of rocks. So many rocks! What an archaeological expedition is going to be needed on this map, but... Using the Oracle to clear the creep. Shades back. Oracle still has enough energy. Interesting that Creator has not used energy recharge on his Oracles with any sort of regularity. And the few Oracles he's actually built. But he's building more Oracles now. Not going for the one or none Oracle build, obviously. 16 Zerglings on the way for Dark, which is clear aggressive intent. This isn't just, I want to stop these Adepts from doing damage. This is, I don't want you to have a third base amount of Zerglings. Alright, you're supposed to put like a requisition statement on them each time. Most players don't, but... He's still sitting at home with the Zerglings. Maybe trying to anticipate, but... Creator not going for the shady bunch, the like 5, 6 Adept Oracle timing. But he will find a couple of Adepts in the center of the map. Actually, will intercept... Who's flanking who, though? Whomst flanking who? Twilight Council. Forge. Blinking +1. All right, back to the classics. Though Classic usually prefers a more Fleet Beacon-oriented build. But as it goes... okay. Get off. My... Well... And he got away with it. Yeah, but he's going to be remembering that the rest of his short life. I think oracles are robots. Not really the important point here, Brenda. Hydralisk Den already on the way. Creator working towards those Blink Stalkers, but Dark clearly anticipating this sort of strategy. Oracle's moving up. The Queens? Oh, not quite. And the Zergling's looking to chase it down, but the Queen's out on their own. A very bold move. 4, 5, 6 Queens all together. But Hydras and Lings behind. He really wants to have this 4th base. If you have the 4th base and the economy, you pretty much got all the fixins you need to hold a Blink Stalk or push. We'll see. Zergling counter. Got an Oracle on station. Home defense Oracle. Recharges it. Make sure it's ready to go. Couple stasis wards to backstop. And the Zerglings looking for the wraparound. Zerglings decided to just go for that. He just gives up the 4th. You know what? Dark at another 4th to the 6 o'clock, the alternative. But he certainly sold this like it was his 4th base. I think Creator will be working under the assumption he just denied it. He has no vision at all about that 6 o'clock base. And that is a very important piece of information to be lacking. And all these Hydras and Lings already on the field, has to go through the intense geological formations. It's like 4 or 5 sets of rocks to deal with. And Dark will have plenty of Hydras. He's going to have +1 ranged attack momentarily, and so many Zerglings on the field as well. The Oracle's very low on the energy, and no stasis wards nearby. He already activates the Oracles, but one of them immediately out of energy. The other one getting dangerously close to the Hydras. Zerglings going to wrap around the Stalkers, who are able to blink away just in time, but I don't know how much longer Creator can hold against this. Hydras. Just ping cushioning some more. Oh, the Colossus comes out of the Zerglings. Start ankle biting it immediately. He gets underneath it. The Zergling's not quite enough to deal with it, but the Colossus drawn away from the Hydras. Another wave of Hydras and Lings. Almost knocks out one of the Oracles. Well. Second Colossus. 2 Colossus. I didn't even register it. I was too busy enjoying the Zerglings, almost killing 1 Colossus. Double Robo Colossus versus just pure Hydraling, though there is a lurker down on the way. Oh no, he's caught between a rock and a hard place. There aren't quite enough Stalkers here, though, and Creator doesn't want to risk being surrounded by Zerglings. But that was an opportunity, though he didn't know it. There was no way the Zerglings could have gotten there by the time that most of the Hydras were killed off by the Stalkers. So, a missed opportunity for a moment by Creator, but... Zealots. Now out in front. 3 Vipers on the way. Lurker Den nearly completed. He's giving Dark full vision of this army. By the fact he has Stasis Lings right there. There's no way for him to deny that. There's another Colossus caught and killed by the Zerglings. The Vipers are popping out. Those are going to be a huge part of dealing with this. Yanking out the Colossi and knocking them down. Will dismantle the rest on its own. Oh, some of the Stalkers and Zealots are left behind. And the Hydras and Lings are coming across the map. Creator still with a very high amount of supply. But the Vipers can change that incredibly quickly. Yep, Revelation in the main. Yep, he has Hive Tech. That's a problem. But here come the Vipers. And the Colossi are walking right into it. Gets the Prism. Gets a Colossus. Give me another one. But he saves it. The Prism actually saving the Colossi despite being on the other side. But it doesn't matter. Dark crushes it. And he powers through. Taking the series. 3-0. And that brings us to our bonus game. Something I thought would be appropriate. Dark versus Hero. Yes, we get a comparison here. How does Dark's greatest nemesis Hero face off against Dark, who clearly had Creator's number? Thing is, I think Creator was not born in the chaos. He was not molded by it. He was not facing Dark for a decade before this match had already happened. So, but now we're gonna flip the script. We've got Hero in the blue in the top left. Not sure if this match is from the same tournament, the same day. Could just be from, you know, it's impossible to tell unless there's clearly, like, if a mothership core pops out, or we see shield battery overcharged, then we'll know. But otherwise, is there a drone here? Dark, I think, attempting to proxy hack, of course. As is customary. Probe. Can't be here, sir. This private property. The drone, of course, does not even, 1, understand the notion, and 2, respect it. Citizen's arrest. Citizen's execution. I do appreciate both of these players using their own portraits next to their bases. Quite a flex. Occasionally you'll see some of the players, not Dark, who always has his #1 ranked player out there by the hatchery, but some of the players will put their opponent's portraits. Or a lot of the time you'll get, like, for example, Rogue puts Maru's on a regular basis. He's always just using the Maru portrait. Rogue notoriously defeating Maru with great prejudice multiple times in the GSL finals. And then saying Zerg is OP afterwards, so that's quite a power move. I truly feel like Rogue is the actual villain, whereas Dark is like the heel to an extent. The bad guy you root for. As he actually does seem like, well, actually a lot of players have said his name is very fitting, though, as well, so. That strong silent type. Or maybe just kind of is busy with a wife and a kid and impending military service, so. We'll see. Though, every day we go without Dark's retirement is a good day. Because, well, it's not quite as true as it once was, unfortunately. If/when Dark retires, that will cut down on the amount of potential Zerg matches we have in many of the, especially smaller, like, weekly tournaments by up to 50%. Since Cyril quite notoriously doesn't participate, Raynor is 50% Protoss and 50% League of Legends player at this point. Shin is in many tournaments, as is Rogue, but definitely doesn't have the level of consistency, or I'll be honest, entertainment. So, let us hope that the darkness will not entirely fall on StarCraft 2. As the oracles light up, driven away by the queens. There's just a half a Thor over there. So sick. Even more oracles on the way. Double Forge for Hero. It's going to be a mass gateway man strategy. Are we going to see Blink as well? Dark adding on a ton more drones. Charge. Of course, you got a lot more gas when you're going charge lots. Not investing any in the units themselves. Oracle's still hunting for any fourth base Dark might try to take. Good micro, but get off my... Wait. Yes. Good job, Brenda. Oh, shut up. Bit of miss micro there, but killing a few more drones and keeping Dark honest. 58 to 49 workers, because every single time you build one of those buildings, another drone is expended. Wow. Quite a supply closet there from Hero, who always has a very creative way of walling off or getting semi-close to it in this matchup. This may be one of the most original. He has two wall off. You know, he has 2 points of failure. He could potentially wall off at the secondary, the backup wall, the airlock, actually. Huh. Has he finally figured out a way to mitigate his losses? Well, this doesn't solve the select all army problem. My favorite solution that I've seen Hero use is a shield battery and a probe, where you just put the probe on hold position because you can't accidentally select all army it, and then the shield battery allows you to have the time to react and potentially just warp in behind. So, not an ideal solution, but still better than nothing, which is what far too often ends up being the answer. Oracle getting chased down. One Oracle dead to a smattering of drones, maybe a Zergling or two. Roaches and Banelings on the way. Already a much more passive game than anything we saw between Dark and Creator. I think that's mostly on Creator, at that early aggression. All right, 7.5 minutes in. Both players still building up, but Dark is about ready to move out. He's got Baneling speed, Roach speed finishing up, +2 melee attack is halfway done. 2-2 is on the way for Hero, though, so he's going to have a very difficult army to deal with. He already has a Storm completed as well. The Oracle overhead. Double Robo Immortal. Are there Templar? Yes. Storm Templar in the Prism as well. Yeah, good luck attacking into this. Dark will go back for another round. Building up more and more Banelings. 73 drones in total. No infestation pit. Dark wants to break Hero now, and I think Hero's very, very aware of it. He's just sitting on 3 bases. He's made sure to build up a very strong core of Immortals. He's got plenty of Templar. That War Prism quite conspicuous. I think Dark's very aware of what's in there. Hero's still not going for the 4th. Big Zealot counterattack. 76 Zerglings. The Storm's washing over, and he actually manages to extract the Templar as well. The charge lot's running in. Should be shut down, but this might afford an opportunity for Hero to move out. Nope. Decides to... Is he just going to max out? He recharges another Templar. The tension mounts. Zealots will be cut off by the Zerglings. Infestation pit. Reluctantly built by Dark. More storms. Extracts the Templar. Spire is on the way. Getting a Spire before even a Hive. +2 ground weapons, +2 armor. Now completed for Hero. The Banelings, are we going to see Banelings chasing charge lots? Always a very awkward scenario. But here come the Lings and Banes, but with that many storms, he's got like 8-10 storms in there. Several of those Templar at full energy. And energy recharge is coming up yet again. Dark, 200 supply, 10... This is effectively 10-minute no rush. Hive is on the way. I think Dark wants to just rush Broodlords at this point. As Lurkers, against this army, Lurkers ain't gonna cut it. That is far too... What is this? Come on out. Hero, come out and play. Hero's like, no, that's a terrible idea. The Banelings roll into Immortals, which is about the least effective Banelings can ever be. A whole lot of Zerglings dead, but Dark with plenty of money in the bank. Hero is ready to move out. And maybe take a fourth. Greater Spire is on the way. The Immortal count. 11 Immortals, and he's still building 2 at a time. Long distance mining. 2-2 is now done, but Dark is working on those Hive Tech upgrades. If Hero waits too long, then Dark will have Broodlords. And when you have like a third of your supply in pure Immortal, Broodlords are quite a threat. So, there's a stasis. Banelings crash in. Dark doesn't have that much gas in the bank, though. God, that is a beefcake Protoss army right now. Banelings rolling in, but storms, multiple storms on that Templar. Hero has he's lost 40 Zealots and 0 Immortals, 1 Archon. The Greater Spire isn't done. Oh, a lot of the units are being caught by the Zerglings. More storms, but softening up some of the Protoss as well. Unable to break into this third base. The bulwark is far too strong. The Roaches and Banelings coming through. Are we base trading? Why does this keep happening? Because Dark refuses to fight head on, which, can you blame him against an army of that magnitude? The Roaches break through. Recharges an Oracle. The Immortals and Archons thinning out the reinforcements. Gonna take out yet another base. All the pieces of this army are devastatingly strong to deal with. Almost kills another Immortal, but not quite. The Broodlords are building, but they're strung out throughout the map. Dark is losing drones. He lost a hatchery. Hero never took a fourth. The Broodlords starting to rain down, but they have no upgrades. There's so many Templar. There's only 1 Corruptor, and there's only 1 Archon. So the all the Archons to the north side. The Broodlords closing in. The Storm's warding them away for now. The Immortals, they take a lot to take down. The Corruptor may snipe off the Prism. He gets it. And, well, the Broodlords are chasing. Some Void Rays on the way. Meanwhile, Zerglings recalls back a lot of the army. Dark unable to actually deal with the army outright. And now is barely mining. Hero never even tried for a 4th base. Maybe that's the key. Hero has more supply. The Broodlords are desperately trying to chase this down. Finally getting close enough. The Archon's getting underneath. And the +2 weapons really helping out. Almost kills a Brood. Dark will kill this army. The Zealots, though, entirely uncontested, headed for the main. Blink is on the way. And the problem is, Dark has no way to deal with these counterattacks. The Broodlords, a single Void Ray! This legacy of this Void Ray may be one of total destruction. As the Void Ray burns through multiple Broodlords, will take down the last Corruptor. And what's left? It's almost like a reverse of Dark versus Creator. You see, this is the difference. Dark and Creator are like-minded players. But Hero knows Dark's mind. No one can predict the kind of chaos Dark wants to bring like Hero. And Hero reigns in his own sort of unique style and just sits on 3 bases and hits them. This is the most generic, this is like a build order guide. Sit on 3 bases and then win. Yada, 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 win. He never even tried to take a 4th Nexus. He's like, this is my army. This is all I need. Well, in case you were wondering what beats Dark's style of Zerg, I think we just got quite a demonstration. But hopefully you enjoyed some hectic, chaotic, but in my opinion, pretty fun games today. So hopefully they made your day just a little bit better. The Korean StarCraft 2 League, check it out in the description. If you got the means and motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. Thank you to the Mule Tier patrons for bringing in so many minerals, by the way. Big Jiggy Dork, K Mario, and thank you for watching. I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So good luck, have fun. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Stay chill.